So what's the story behind the interest here?
Well, so I think overall, if you look at what retail traders did in November, they actually it decreased their exposure to the market overall, but they did buy some individual equity names. They bought equities. They actually went more toward fixed income than we've seen in a long time, and it's the least exposure they've taken to the market since May. That all said, Apple was one of the stocks they bought. It's the #1 held stock at TD Ameritrade the last 2 years. It's a stock that matters, I think, psychologically a lot to investors, not just retail, but overall to the market. And I think if people are basically saying, talking to our clients, they're saying, listen, if there's a stock I trust for the longer term, it's going to be Apple. Yeah, the market may go down, but if I have to put my money somewhere, I think people are very confused what to do with bonds right now. So they're like, if there's a stock I'm going to trust for the longer term, this is going to be one of the primary ones.
GE, we tease. Now, is this a stock that that the traders have kind of bought all the way down, or was this renewed interest, or how would you characterize that?
It's kind of funny. When GE got to 10, that was a bit, once it got under 10, a lot of people came in to say, okay, if it's under 10, this is the year where it will bounce back. Now it got down to 7. I actually look at this one where people are saying, if I buy 100 shares, it's only $700. I hate when people look at things that way, but we all know that that's how the world tends to work, and people tend to look at things. They say, it's going to 20 or it's going to 0 is really, when I talk to clients, is how they look at GE right now. So I won't call it a cheap play. I'll call it an inexpensive play for many people.
It reminds me, when Bank of America was under $10 after the crisis, that was the most heavily traded stock in the market. Right. Everyone just flocked. Oh, it's $6
and it's remained that way in a lot of ways.
True.
Still one of the most heavily traded.
But they're just averaging down at this point, though. Even if I mean, 10 was interesting psychologically too. Yes. You can imagine. People know the name well. It's been with us for so long. It used to, of course, be an important dividend payer, and it's a shadow of its former self with a $60 billion market value now.
It really is, and it's also, you turn to it and say, okay, what business is actually going to bring you out of this? Much like you guys are reporting on the market, what sector is bringing us out of this right now? It's kind of interesting when I look at the stocks they bought. It was not only Apple, they actually bought Netflix and Amazon. So the stocks that have sort of bought you to the dance, so to speak, over the last few years, as they've really gotten beaten up, people are saying this is where we still want to be longer term. They still have faith, if you will, in those stocks. The other interesting side of it was some of the stocks they sold. And Procter & Gamble and Tesla, two stocks that when we were here 2-3 months ago talking about stocks that our retail clients bought, they actually ended up selling right now, as they both had a pretty good month in November. Procter & Gamble, last couple of months, compared to the overall market, Tesla certainly has rallied recently. So I think that people are trying to take profits where they can because they're a little bit confused outside the stocks they really know well as to where to go next.
Interesting. At what levels did investors seem to think Netflix and Amazon and Nvidia were bargains again?
Well, if you look back on Nvidia, particularly, I'll look at, and I'll start with Apple. How's that?
Okay.
Apple, every time it gets under 170, people want to start buying it overall. There's no question about that one. And when I look at, a Netflix, there's one that at the end of the month, it seemed people wanted to come in as the stock sort of fell off a little bit. So what it seems to me is happening is that every time a stock like that has a move that's a couple of percent, you see people start to come in there.
It's those stocks that people wish they owned more of when they were at their highs in September, and all of a sudden they have a shot.
Yeah, and the biggest thing I'll say to viewers, obviously so many of your viewers are retail clients. I think one of the big things that confuses them is they're either all or none in markets like this. It's like, I got to get in right now. It's the time to buy everything, or I can't do anything and sit on their hands. And so, really, as professionals trade, it's always partial. Yeah. So I would really warn people right now who are watching our show, please, please, please think of partials, not only for buying, but also for selling.